The algorithm, guys. The fucking algorithm got me again. Folks, Fernando doing another video for the modern survivals. Stay for this one. Kind of related to the previous video talking about low fertility rates, low amounts of babies being born, strongly linked also to the inability of people to form strong relationships, to have a marriage, a couple, a family, and people not even wanting that. And those that want it don't know how to get it. And maybe this is useful for you too. If you find yourself in this situation, if you find yourself, dear God, dating these days as people are on some of the elements out there in the streets. So maybe it was because of what I was searching in terms of population, fertility, and whatnot. The algorithm threw this at me, and I saw these three beautiful creatures there, and it says she rates herself a perfect 10. And of course, I could not help me but just clicked on it immediately, and I went down this rabbit hole of, well, it's a YouTube channel called whatever, and this guy is the host, Brian something. And he has like the most bizarre bunch of people. Usually it's like younger women. Some of them are like workers. Yeah, you cannot even say that in YouTube these days. But yeah, women that do that for a living, and you know, the OnlyFans kind of people. But there's also like normal people, and there's also, well, the guy, the host is somewhat of a normal guy, and he even brings like guests. And there was even one that was like a dating coach, so a guy that was supposed to know how to teach people how to date. Dude, I mean, you have some of the worst possible advice I've ever seen, and they have like on the table, they have like the blue pill and the red pill, you know, all of that red pill stuff about waking up, about how women are just, you know, look. And I mean, I won't even bother talking about people that have a complete detachment to reality. Of course, the OnlyFans and the workers and stars and that sort of people. But you realize that normal people don't know how to relate with one another either. The guy, the host, is a 35-year-old something that still is trying to figure out. And it seems to be that he's still like dating. And anyway, if you combine that with the delusion of some people, like these three women, that they consider themselves a perfect 10s, let's actually watch it. It's a little bit creepy, but I guess there's something to be learned here.
Okay, we have a question here from Stifler. Ask everyone to rate their looks on a scale of 1 to 10.
I'm a 10.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
I'm a 10.
I think it depends on what city I'm in. Yeah, I think it depends on what city I'm in. A number still, like Boise, I'm easily a 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you?
If I'm judging it based on beauty standards, I am definitely a 3.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
An 8.
An 8, she says. So,
okay.
She says a 3, and that's the only accurate thing I've heard so far. And the other one, she says that she's an 8. Okay. But the delusion of some people to think that being massively overweight, being morbidly obese, they're still beautiful people and just super attractive. And I mean, you could be the nicest person ever, but if you think that physically you are a stunning 10 when you're obviously morbidly obese, that just shows a detachment to reality that is, you know, it's kind of noticeable. And it's not an exception because, again, I've watched several of these. It tends to be the case that so many women have lost contact with reality, and not only towards themselves, but towards their expectations. It is really amazing to see this.
Compared to who? Who are you comparing these to? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, when I answer that question, I'm like, according to beauty standards. If you ask me if I feel like 10, I'll be 10.
Oh, I disregard European-centric, like Eurocentric beauty standards. I don't even follow because I'm a queen where I come from. So
yeah.
You're a queen.
I'm a queen.
Yeah, I guess if we're to like put everybody else's opinions into it, they might rate me like a 6 or a 7.
Oh,
I feel like
what would you say?
But every region is different. Are we talking
European-centric? Notice the discrimination, the racism there, and well, European. What does he mean? Like white people, like someone that is fit, thin, lean. that would be the European-centric. I think that that's not just European. I think that's, I mean, lady, go to South America where I'm from. You would be facing a very hard reality in terms of what the expectations are for you as a woman. You would not like how blunt people will be towards your appearance, and it's just normal. It's not even, you're not even talking about looks, which, you know, no one in his right mind. I get it that there's people with very weird fetiches and whatnot, but someone in his right mind will hardly find attractive someone that is obviously going through what is just a disease. You're morbidly obese, you're not healthy, and you're definitely not attractive for anyone that is not disturbed in his head. And it's not European. This is basically universal. I'm pretty sure there's a number of people in the United States that are now wondering what the hell she's talking about, being a perfect 10. But it's not just, you know, being mean against a fat lady that thinks she's a 10 and her, you know, self-esteem and whatnot. This is kind of popular these days. Some very low hanging fruit there, considering themselves to, and the racism thing of, oh yeah, because that's European centric. No, it's not European centric. It's not insane kind of metric that you're applying here.
Talking about,
in Africa,
you know, like, you're right. In the Caribbean, I'm a queen. In Africa, I'm a queen. Like, I'm a 10. So it depends on like what.
In Africa, has she ever been in Africa? I haven't. I really wonder. She really thinks she's a 10 in Africa? What, people in Africa, just because they're black like herself, and they will have low standards, and some dude in Africa will not want to have an actual fit lady, girlfriend, wife, whatever material they're looking at. It's even racist towards people in Africa, people in the Caribbean. They will just look at you as a queen. That's what she used. That's the word she used herself. They will look at her as a queen because she's fat, you know, like a like a fertility idol from the Aztecs. That's kind of the thing she's going for here.
People group we're concerned for. Like, I just, you know, some places, I may not be as attractive as they would like, but in some places I'm top tier. So it really just depends.
In some famine-stricken hellhole, maybe, but not in any sort of normal civilized society.
So wait, 10 and 10. You two, 3? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
According to beauty standards.
I think in my group, in my genre, that I'm a 10 in my group, in my genre. Like, if you're attracted to women who are plus size, I think that I'm.
Well, just like overall though.
That's why I said, like, if.
Plus size, fat. You mean fat? But what's even more interesting, besides the conversation with colorful people in terms of their lifestyles and so on, which it's not trying to be mean here or anything, but what surprised me the most is not like, what some ladies think they're aiming for, but the guy himself, this dude here, when he talks about himself, look what he says.
You'll be surprised.
No, because there's a sort of almost an objective assessment that you can make of people's physical attractiveness. So me personally, I don't think that I view myself as like pretty average looking, average guy. Realistically, I'll probably get with a girl who's comparable looks wise, who's plus or minus a point looks wise.
Like a 5 or 6?
Between 5 and 7, I guess. I think that's within.
Okay.
So you rounded up.
What do you mean?
Well, you didn't. You said you think you're a what? A
6.
6. So instead of saying a 3 to 4, you rounded up to a 6 to 7, 5 to 7.
Well, I said. I mean, I feel like it's fair. You can probably go plus or minus.
This is a grown-ass man. He's a 35-year-old dude. He has his own YouTube channel with, 600,000 subscribers, or this clips. Maybe this is a somewhat, successful adult male, and he talks about himself in this way. He rates himself as a 6, and he could aim for a 7, whatever the fuck that means, or a 5. So a little bit of advice, like from an older man from a bygone era and a successful 20-year marriage after dating like 7 months. Look, it's sad to see the state in which the world is right now. This is not the first time I've encountered this. There's a bunch of different YouTube channels that every once in a while it suggests. There was a guy who was like a red pill something that was like teaching guys how to hook up with women. So all of that red pill movement, the incel thing, the kind of like waking up to how horrible women are. And unfortunately, yeah, there's a lot of that going around. There's also normal ass women that just want to have a healthy relationship, form a family, and so on. It's like child talk. You see these guys, and again, it's not just the people, the guests, which have a fuckload of issues themselves, but the guy that's the host of this thing, some of the guests, I don't find right now, I don't know about this dude, I don't even know who he is, but he did have a dating coach at some point, and the guy was so fucking bitter and upset and angry towards women as if they're your enemy, and always looking at what is that you bring into this relationship. So you would have these women with their expectations about, this morbidly obese lady over there saying that she wants to, or even like the S workers and the OnlyFans ladies that, dude, that's gonna be a tough sale. But yeah, their standards are like, it has to be a super successful, 6 foot tall guy with a perfect body, working in the gym. So standards that are not even themselves living up to those standards, yet at the same time having some expectations that are unrealistic. Not only unrealistic, but also kind of stupid. The first thing you think of someone is how much money he makes and if he's 6 feet tall. What if someone is a couple inches shorter than you're 6 feet tall and he doesn't make a whole lot of money, but he's a great guy and he's husband material, and he would actually be something that would be great at that. He would be a great boyfriend, and later on when you get married, he would be a great husband. Oh, but he's not 6 feet tall, and he's not making, I don't know what amount of money is it that you're looking for. This thing about looking at stats as if you're almost playing a video game, that is not normal, healthy human behavior. So for all of you guys, and maybe for all of you ladies out there looking, you have to look at what you actually want. Are you looking to buy like a NPC from a video game? Are you looking to actually form a healthy human relationship with a potential partner, husband, wife? Then those would be your priorities. The obvious conversation, is it something that matters to you or not? Do you just want to hook up and have a good time? Well, maybe then you're looking for something different. And what's even more sad is when you hear him explain, for example, he does this thing where he explains how he goes about dates. The host of the channel.
Sometimes there's waiters that will come to you for a drink. You just say, before she's there, you talk to the waiter and you're just like, hey, at the end, just bring 2 checks. Boom. So it's not even like a thing. So he puts a check in front of you, puts a check in front of her. You don't even have to say anything. The other thing is if it's like at a bar, you go up to the bar. If you get...
So, yeah, and before that, he said he doesn't go out like in dinners. I don't know what the hell is going on in the United States. Is it really that expensive to go out for dinner in an actual restaurant these days? I guess it is. But dude, you're splitting like drinks. You're going out for a beer or a coffee, and you ask for separate checks. I guess. That would be pretty. There's a cultural difference, right? At least from where I'm coming from in Latin America, in a place like Argentina, it's kind of insulting that you go out on a date with a woman, right? With a girl, even for a a younger guy, maybe even a teenager or maybe a little bit older. So you're 18, 19 years old and you go out to have a beer or a cup of coffee with someone, and it could be to a point that you don't want to go to an actual dinner, especially if you don't have that amount of time. And yeah, sure, if you're fucking completely broke, it may well be that you just don't feel it, that it's worth it to that point. But having separate checks for a drink, what kind of person are you even meeting up with? I mean, that just speaks poorly of your ability to make basic decisions on even that instance. If you are not even sure enough that this person you're hanging out, this lady you're hanging out, this girl you're hanging out for maybe an hour or two, she is not worth you risking $3 or $4 or $5, whatever a coffee or beer is, whatever it is that you live. Then, dude, you have some poor skills of your own in terms of determining what is worth your time or not. And in more traditional cultures, I guess most ladies would, and maybe this is a little bit of an old-fashioned thing, but yeah, it is kind of expected for the guy to pay for these sort of things. I haven't dated a whole lot before I got married, but it was really rare that a girl would just say, no, I'll just pay my half. No, it's kind of expected that, just you being the gentleman and her being the lady, not being a worker or an OnlyFans kind of person. She's also putting some investing of herself in just being there with you. And it's not as if you should be tremendously appreciative of just that. But yeah, the little gesture of, you're a gentleman, she's a lady, you pay the $3-4 that a beer or whatever it is you're drinking is worth. And in fact, if you go out for dinner, you're kind of going for that. Yes, it may well be that some women, some ladies will feel more I just rather pay my half. Okay, that's perfectly fine. It's not a deal breaker, but it's still quite telling that the guy in this case is already making it like a decision that he only goes out under these terms. He's not gonna pay for whatever person is opposite to him paying a drink in case she's just trying to get a free beer out of you, a free drink. That is kind of sad, but it just says a lot of how dating and relationships are these days, and therefore the outcome we've been seeing for years now. I mean, most of these women that they have in these things, yes, again, some weird ass people, and some surprisingly more normal ones as well. But something and they have this weird thing of like a doll there. But something tells me this is fair. I mean, and they have a 21-year-old son who is kind of like in this situation himself. There's a huge change in what dating was like in my age, in my time. Compared to what it is right now. It is fucking scary. Like this one here with a old German soldier helmet thing going on. They don't even know what they want. These people, they don't know what. And I would say, this guy is not all that much. I mean, I'm not all that much older than him, right? 35 years old, this guy. And he is talking like a 16-year-old. And some of the dating coaches also haven't got their shit together in what being a man actually is. The advice they give is terrible. What does she bring to the table? And talking about how much money? You know what? I made nothing when I first started dating. I didn't make a damn cent. I had nothing, and it was just. That's all you had, right? When I started dating my wife, I didn't have a buck to my name. Did it matter? Of course, it was not ideal, but there's a few things that are a little bit more important than how much money you're making at that point. What kind of person are you? What kind of standards do you have? Not in just, I only date guys that are 6 feet tall or women that are damn swimsuit models or... Yes, and you definitely start your relationships based on looks. You like the person you're dating, of course, yeah. That is maybe one of the first things you are attracted to a person, right? But then there's a bunch of more important things. They even talk about having sex with a bunch of randoms, trying to find someone which they fit better, as if they're a fucking lost key or something. It's not all that complicated. It is definitely not the way to go about your life, having sex with a bunch of strangers or first dates until you find someone. Oh yeah, this one, and then what? You went through 100 people, right? And this goes for women. They talk about it is interesting, but it's also pretty depressing. They talk about body counts. Does it count or does it not count? Some of the OnlyFans and the S workers being offended by some of the dudes saying, yeah, you're not wife material. Of course not. You're right. But it goes for guys as well. You have what? Just because you're and this is something that comes straight out of the mouth of many of these male red pill kind of dating coaches for guys. Like, yes, women and men are different. Yeah, that is true. That is correct. Men and women are most definitely different. It's not the same thing as if a woman goes through 100 guys or 50 or 1,000 guys than if a guy does, because biology says that women should be more conservative because that's the way in which you assure yourself that your children are of your own DNA. And the guys try to make this argument as if, yeah, it's okay if you went, if you slept with every woman you ever dated because you're a dude. Well, you could have your own standards as well. I mean, just as it works for women, it's not exactly the same thing, but it doesn't mean you have to be a man whore yourself that sleeps with every single woman you find attractive that also happens to be interested in yourself. You could have a little bit of self-control and not screw every single woman that is showing, any kind of attention towards you. Yeah, I guess that's somewhat of a revolutionary concept apparently for some people, but trust me, it's the kind of thing that probably will end up working a lot better than following some of this dumbass advice from these dating coaches. No, you don't have to, and that puts you in many ways. And I'm looking at the guy here. I'm looking at the dude that is a 35-year-old guy trying to figure out how to go out with women, even though he has a YouTube channel that is dedicated about that. And these guys that are advising other dudes on how to find women worth their time and maybe form a family with, and they haven't been able to do that themselves, which is super ironic and just shows maybe why you probably don't want to take advice from these guys. So if you cannot determine if someone is worth $3-5 worth of a beer or a drink, if you cannot determine on your own if someone is worth a massive investment of going out for dinner with someone, I mean, how damn broke are you? You are supposed to be making somewhat of acceptable money with a somewhat big channel. Definitely on the upper subscriber count there. If you cannot make that decision, then there's problems you need to work on yourself first. What kind of people are you even talking with? What kind of person did you even invite out for a drink? You're maybe wasting your time. And I guess this was one of the things that when I was dating with my wife, just a few 3, 4, 5 dates into it, this is where I'm at. I want to form a family. I want to have kids. Are we both on the same boat? Yeah, we are. Yes, sure, okay, perfect. Done. We already figured this out. If that's not the conversation, you're wasting your damn time. If that's something that you cannot agree with right away, probably it's kind of the first one. And dude, I'm talking about being 21 years old, not fucking 35. At that age, I would assume that's the first thing you talk about. The first thing you talk about is, what are we even doing here? We're just playing to being teenagers at 35? That is damn depressing. Again, nothing personal against anyone or the dude here or any of these people, but this just shows you And again, I do have a kid that is about the same age of some of these women that, well, maybe not. Yeah, some of these women, 21, 22, 25, you have 40-year-old man children these days are still dating. Fucking 50-year-old people dating, trying to figure out what they want in their lives. And I guess that internet, phones, Instagram, and YouTube is all part of it. These unrealistic standards, maybe that's one of the things. And not only, on one hand, you have unrealistic standards of perfection and achievements and income and looks and height and, bodies and what. And on the other hand, yeah, but I also screw anything that walks and crosses my path. Which one is it? Have you got such high standards that there's no one that is up to those? Or do you screw anything that crosses your path? You kind of have to make up your mind, because if not, you have this. You have this problem that you have here. And I would, final suggestion here for anyone that is younger, or maybe, hell, these days not so young, anyone that is out there trying to find, a girlfriend or a boyfriend or potentially a husband or a wife, make up your mind. There's really not that much that you have to figure out before you have that first conversation, right? As of what happens later on, yeah, it's, the idea of sleeping with a bunch of people, that is just childish or kind of stupid, because that's probably not one of your main concerns. I mean, unless someone is very fucked up or sick or has some strong or very specific issues in their bodies, it should not be much of a problem. Anyone that seems to be healthy, fit, it kind of will click along with you in that regard. These things are far more important in terms of what is that you want from a relationship. What is it that you want? Do you want to hang out? Do you want to have a good time? Do you want to just hook up with a bunch of people every weekend? Or do you want to actually start something in terms of starting a family, right? That involves what? Getting married, having kids? Okay, let's make that perfectly clear, right? Maybe that's not the first thing you talk about when you're 19, 20 years old. Maybe I was already a little bit more old school even when I was that age. And that's the kind of thing that I was not into this thing of just, hooking up with people. It was never, even at a younger age, it's something I was interested in. And I guess that because it was not something I was interested in doing, eventually you end up attracting, people from the opposite sex that actually feel the same way as you do. And it's quite noticeable how some of the, it's not being mean or anything, but the lower standards they have, of course, the more of a harder time they have finding someone compatible. But it's also true that the more like this they look, the more of a harder time they have finding someone that sticks around. It's not much of a surprise. It also has to be said that, yes, women with a better education, women with better looks will, and this may be a shock for some people, women that are good looking, have a good education, they know what they want, they are smart, they don't sleep with a bunch of people because they know perfectly well that that's usually not the thing that ends up attracting the kind of guy they want. Yeah, the moment you show up with your body count, as they call it, of 50 or 20 or 30 or whatever, I mean, you could not make up your mind. You could not choose wisely on the first couple of people you ended up having a serious relationship with. Well, probably that's something of a you issue, right? And you're probably not what I'm looking for or what that other person is looking for in a serious long-term relationship, okay? So don't be angry with women. Women are not the enemy. Don't be angry with men. Men are not monsters and degenerates. All of them are not just looking to all of them get under your pants or whatnot. There's serious dudes out there that are maybe not your perfect version of whatever stupid Hollywood fantasy you had in terms. Oh yeah, but there's probably someone that will actually work great for you and someone you can actually fall in love with that you maybe didn't expect so much. Maybe there's an initial physical attraction, even though he deviates a little bit more from your income standards or your whatever body prep. I mean, you could be a guy that, oh yes, I like blondes, right? You like blonde men or blonde women, and then you meet someone that's a brunette or a redhead, and she's very good looking, or he's a good looking guy in spite of not being the typical thing I'm usually attracted to. But yeah, you start having a conversation. You actually like the other damn person for a change, and you get along, and you fall in love. You have the same connection. But these are far more important than these idiotic standards that both these men and women apparently have. Guys, just a little bit of advice for you folks out there. Take care. See you next time.